Hi, this is Ed Feingold, editor of Billing Views, and this is the Billing Views whiteboard. Today we're going to talk a little bit about HTML5 versus the Apple tax. So what does that mean? Well, the Apple tax, as a lot of people know, is what you pay when you want to do business through the iTunes or App Store. And now that's not specific to Apple per se. It's Apple, Android Marketplace, a lot of the Facebook, a lot of the closed ecosystems that we see. And we're starting to see that change and break open. We're starting to see some frustrations from some big players that want to transact through mobile or more specifically through multi-device, and don't feel like they need to pay that tax because they have the ability to go direct to consumer and to process their own payments and conduct their own commerce online. So that ownership of the mobile device ecosystem, especially, or any connected device ecosystem, gets frustrating for them. And one of the factors that looks like is going to really change that, that's emerging now, is HTML5. So what you're looking at here is, here's an iPhone, and you have a bunch of apps on it. And the way the system basically works now for app purchases, in-app purchases, and then obviously for content that's sold through the iTunes store as well, is you're using an app or making a purchase here on your phone. That transaction is going through here. It's going through this 30% toll booth, which really is the iTunes or the App Store, right? So Apple's taking its cut of that transaction. And now, if you're Joe Hacker over here, he's relatively happy, and obviously been pretty happy with this setup, because this is giving him a marketplace, a great marketplace, to put his apps out there that he's developing in his mom's garage over here. And he's not worried about e-commerce, he's not worried about payments or branding or anything like that. He's just trying to get his stuff out there, maybe make it go viral. Maybe he's investing some dollars in promoting it. But this setup works pretty well for him. And so that 30%, it's a little steep, but at the end of the day, it's a somewhat reasonable cost of doing business to have access to this world that Apple creates for him. And so he's smiling, he's pretty happy about that. Now, if you're down here and you're a major Hollywood studio, or you're a game developer, or you're a big box retailer, this scenario over here, this 30%, that's too steep. That's taking all your profit away. And even if you're still profitable under those terms, you're going to look at that as leaving money on the table. So what do you want to do? Well, you want things going through your own payments cloud over here. That's our little cloud pig. It says payments on it. You want payments going over here. And the issue is that has not really been doable thus far, because most of the transactions are happening through an app, which means it's in Apple's environment. It's really tied in to this situation. And the only way that you're going to get someone out of that is if you pull them out and send them to a website, get them to transact with you in another way. So you might win them in this environment, and then encourage them to do direct business with you directly in another area. But it doesn't have that high usability, impulse buy, magazine rack at the checkout counter kind of effect that you have when you're, one of these buttons right here. So what HTML5 does now is, from a user experience perspective, there's a lot of benefits. One of them is that you write once and run on any device, theoretically. That's what HTML5 is supposed to do, which means that you can essentially stop writing apps separately for iOS and for Android and the other operating systems if you want to. You should be able to basically write once for HTML5, maybe do some tweaks for those different environments and the control systems that are used for them, but it's makes things easier for you as a developer. But the major thing it does for you is gives you some seamlessness in the customer experience, so that if someone's in an app and they want to transact with you and you need to take them to a website, you can do that in HTML5 in a way that they never feel like they're leaving the app. So they may be going through a browser going this way, but they don't feel like they're leaving the app. They're still within the sort of safety cocoon of that app, even if that transaction is now actually taking place because of HTML5 through your payments cloud, letting you, the Hollywood studio, the game developer, big box retailer, anybody else that would be in this box, letting you go direct to the consumer with whatever you want to sell to them, and effectively skirting this 30% toll booth. Now, this is going to get very controversial. Apple doesn't want to see this. Probably Apple knows that you're doing this. They're going to kick you out of the App Store. They obviously can exert a lot of control there. But this is one of the big things that we're going to be seeing, I think, in the next 6 months to a year. The change in the way these ecosystems work, the changes in this environment, and really, I mean, best for everybody in the ecosystem if some of this starts to get broken down and starts to get freed up, and you don't have this arbitrary cost built into the system, and people can start transacting directly with the consumer. And when you can do that, I think it gives these guys a lot more freedom to do personalization, to do promotions. Probably drives a lot more aggressive price competition, that kind of thing, which ultimately is good for consumers. What it'll do from a quality and a security point of view, I think, remains to be seen. But the point being that as HTML5 apps start to come online, you're going to start seeing these ecosystems get broken open. And really the driver of it is that these guys don't want to pay this 30% toll anymore, and they want to go direct to consumer.